So we'll just begin with the verse from 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the 7th canto describes the activities of Hiranyakashipu, his son Prahlad Maharaj, and Bhagavan Shri Narsinghadev, the Supreme Lord. So the Supreme Lord has defeated Hiranyakashipu and his cohorts. Hiranyakashipu is dead. Prahlad Maharaj is trying to pacify Narsinghadev Bhagavan. So that is the context. The Lord is very pleased to see that Prahlad is safe and sound. And it is the nature of the Lord to offer benedictions. Therefore, one of the names of the Supreme Lord is Varadaraja Swami, because he offers the choicest of benedictions. Vara means benedictions, Da means to give, and Raja means the king, or the best of those who gives benedictions. So the Lord is the supreme bestower of benedictions. We ask Prahlad Maharaj that, hey Prahlad, I would be very happy if you ask a boon from me. So there is a long discussion between Prahlad Maharaj and Narsinghadev, with Prahlad Maharaj giving his perspective. It's very beautiful. Finally, there is a few things that Prahlad seeks. And one of them is mentioned in this prayer today. I am going to recite it. I would like all of you to follow along. You may not respond, you may not chant along with me, but please go through the verses so you also read through it. Is that all right? Yes. Prayena deva munaya svavimukti kama maunam charanti vijane naparartha nishtha Naitan vihaya kripanan vimumukshveko nanyam tvadasya sharanam brahmato nupashye. So Prahlad Maharaj is praying, the translation is, my dear Lord Narsinghadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed. They are interested only in their own deliverance. Not caring for the big cities and towns, they go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence, Mauna Vrata. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of the lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to the shelter at your lotus feet. So Prahlad is seeking, or Prahlad is praying that the Supreme Lord makes arrangements to give shelter to all living entities. The reason is Nanyam Tvadasya. Because according to Sri Prahlad's vision, this is Prahlad's vision. You and I may not have that vision. It's quite possible. We may say that we have that vision, but it is quite possible you and I may not always have that vision. But it is helpful to understand what is Prahlad's vision. Prahlad is saying, Na anya tvadasya sharana brahmato anupashye. So without you, I do not see them having any other shelter. So Prahlad's perspective is that. Sometimes we may feel that, yes, Prabhu, I'll pray for you. Yes, Mataji, I'll pray for you. That is good. Prahlad's prayer is that, my dear Lord, my prayer is that you make some arrangement. And the reason is, where does Prahlad have such conviction from? Because he has direct experience. When you have direct experience, you're like, Prabhu, I've been there to this place and it's really good. You should go there. You know? When you speak with such conviction, people are convinced. But if people ask you and you're like, yeah, I've heard it is good. And maybe you should try it out. So it's not as convincing. To have a conviction of finding complete shelter carries the assurance of perfect peacefulness. For example, if you are out on the roads, it's been a long journey. You're looking forward to coming home. On the way, you may take breaks, but sometimes when you're like just 3-4 hours away from the journey and you've already been on a non-stop 6-hour drive, the mind works in peculiar ways. The mind tries to convince you already 6 hours non-stop. If you just continue on for 3 hours, 3.5 hours, you'll be home. Then you can rest peacefully. That happened with all of you? And we do. We push ourselves, isn't it? Now, if it is going to take another day or suddenly the car is about to break down or something like that, you're like, okay. And the mind is convinced that it's going to be tomorrow. Right? So that conviction, that feeling that another 3 hours and then you will be home is what gives you a feeling of security. Because you feel that there you will be sheltered. Not only sheltered, there you won't have any challenges. Not just you won't have any challenges, there you will have facilities. And hence you will be comfortable. Now coming home, like our Tulsi Sharanji, Hare Krishna. How are you? Good. So Tulsi Sharan Prabhu has this new house. So since the time they had purchased it, they were like, yeah, it is taking some more time, some more time. Finally, when they are here, it's like a milestone achieved. Isn't it? Here finally you can set everything in place. And if somebody asks you, so Prabhu, how's life? He's like, well, there's mortgage, but now we are not moving anywhere. It's done. Can we speak in similar terms when we say going back home, back to Godhead? Is that the kind of conviction that we have? Or is it simply flowery words? No wonder Krishna consciousness becomes very routine in the life of a practitioner. We don't have to really go too much into word jugglery if that does not give us a strong inclination towards having conviction in certain words, certain phrases. If all of our stotras, mantras, practices does not allow us to have that feeling of peacefulness with the simple phrase, back home, back to Godhead. Like maybe another 40 years and then back home, back to Godhead. Another 60 years and back home, back to Godhead. Then the thirst will always be there to seek some shelter. And that shelter could be in various forms of Krishna, towards which we do not have an understanding of attachment. Just like a motel also gives one shelter, but we do not have the attachment towards a motel as we have towards a home. It's another building. A home also requires you to spend money, you pay your bills. Similarly, at the motel, you spend money, paying the rent. However, the home has a feeling of comfort and security. So when we do not understand phrases like back home, back to Godhead, in terms of being at peace, then our shelter would be in other things, like the external form. It could be how we behave as a practitioner. What is the status that we have in the community? How much I have read or memorized in terms of what is a requirement. So Nanyam Tadasya, Prahlad Maharaj is seeking shelter for all the living entities. So that is Prahlad's perspective, Sri Prahlad Maharaj's perspective. Nrsimhadev would be happy to give shelter to all the living entities. In fact, Nrsimhadev is like, hello, Prahlad, I've already given shelter to everyone. They are just trying to be shelterless. But he understands what is Prahlad's concern. Because Prahlad has already mentioned prior to this, this thought that is expressing here, that people are waylaid by their senses, by their own senses. They have forgotten. And time and again they forget. So when this happens, many times when this is the scenario, those who try to cultivate a perspective of serving others, over a period of time, they may get tired. They're like, my dear Lord, I may just concentrate on saving myself than trying to work for others. It is natural. It is what happens. And the reason is not that trying to do paropkar, trying to help others is difficult. We know it is difficult. The reason is that while we are helping others, we are spending so much time and energy that we forget that we have to help ourselves too. Let's say there is a flood and one has been caught in the flood waters, and we see others also caught up in the flood waters. Now, a flood doesn't really, the waters are going to flow wherever they find. Wherever they find space, that is where they are going to flow, the waters. Now, if you are in the waters and others are in the waters, you are a good swimmer. Right? There are two ways you can help someone. Correct? There are two ways you can help someone. There could be other ways, but I'll explain two ways. One is, you yourself swim to the shore, wherever it is, and then try to help others who are swimming past by lending a hand, or getting a boat, or throwing a twig, or a rope, something you can do. That is one way, correct? So you save yourself, and then you also save others. The second way is that you may not find the shore, you have to keep on swimming, but at the same time, because you're a good swimmer, and you are confident, you know that you have to keep on swimming, you also encourage others, please keep on swimming, please keep on swimming. Now when we are trying to, cultivate spiritual consciousness, we are like caught up in the waves of material existence. Is that correct? So how many of us feel that we have reached the shore? We are caught up, isn't it? However, we are trying to be strong swimmers. Isn't it? We are trying to keep afloat in the waters. So what is the best way we can help others? Sorry? No, swim yourself first. You keep swimming and then encourage others also. Because if you stop swimming, you will not be there to encourage them. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore said, Janma sarthak kori karo paropakar. One has to constantly endeavor to purify one's existence till one has gone ashore, gone to the other side. At the same time, we try to encourage others too. So, many a times, because we are struggling, we may feel that we have only energy to save ourselves. It is quite possible. And it is perfectly all right. Prahlad Maharaj is indicating, Maunam charanti tad vijane. These are the people that, understanding how difficult it is to cross over the ocean of material existence, they take up to the practice of self-deliverance. However, my dear Lord, I personally, I know that without Krishna consciousness and without taking shelter of your lotus feet, they can never be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to the shelter at a lotus feet. So I would want to take up this practice. There is a peculiar distraction in this material world. One and all. Young, old, male, female, everyone. They are subjected to this distraction. As soon as we realize that there is a big prize available for us to achieve, we start dreaming of wanting that big prize. So when we hear that Krishna is pleased when we encourage others also to come to the practice of Krishna consciousness, more than when you only pray for yourself, your salvation. Now you see the big prize. So what is the peculiar distraction? The peculiar distraction is we want a big prize and we forget about salvation. Because we hear that if we try and serve others, then Krishna's blessings are always there. Correct? Is it true? I'll give you a little atypical praman or reference from Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita. There was a gentleman of the name Narendra Malik. Nickname Naren. That was his Instagram handle. Naren. So one day he told his friend and relative, Abhay was very popular. And Naren wanted to become famous with the help of Abhay. Sometimes that is what you do, you know. You want to know people that are famous so that the people that you know that you know them. It's natural. If there's a big light somewhere, you want to stand under that light, isn't it? So, why? Because if there's somebody else that needs direction from you, you're like under that light. Here, see me. I'm under this light. See me. So Naren told Abhay, there is a sadhu. Abhay said, I know many sadhus. I have had sufficient interaction with sadhus. No, this is a different sadhu. He literally dragged him. He's like, come no, Abhay, come, Baba. Bhalo manush. Very good sadhu. So Abhay got dragged along. He goes to the rooftop. There are sadhus sitting on a high seat, delivering a discourse. He says, oh, you seem to be well educated in the English language. Why don't you take up the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and spread it to the English speaking world? Naren knew that this is a good sadhu. He wanted Abhay to come. He dropped off Abhay there and he went his own way. Abhay took up to this association seriously, and in a few years he took shelter as the disciple of this great saintly personality, His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, and he was given the name Abhay Charanarvinda Das. So this is the history that we read from Prabhupada Lilamrita. So was Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also offer the message to Naren? Naren was also sitting there. So if somebody had prayed to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, please also give shelter to Naren, Bhakti Siddhanta is like, yes, he can also take. But Naren was distracted, at least according to how we know the Lilamrita. Correct? So Naren helped someone to come to the process. Naren was aware of the process in the sense that he knew who is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The rest is history. We know that Naren, we don't hear about Naren anymore. Narendra Malik. So Prahlad Maharaj is asking Nrsingadev to offer what is the best according to his perspective. At the same time, the fact is that what do the living entities do with that opportunity? How do they take the maximum benefit of that opportunity? That is their free will. So today's topic I entitled as, I was thinking a lot and I was coming up with really cliche titles like clarity of consciousness or accepting surrender, and I was like, that's not me. I have to come up with a topic that even I don't understand. What's the title? Because then I can explore it. So I entitled today's discussion as Redefining Existence. I have no idea what I'm going to explain under that. But redefining existence. Taking another look at the scriptures and the texts that we have been through a lot. That has become like commonplace knowledge to us. So once upon a time, a man was driving his new Porsche. Porsche is good or Jaguar? What would you like? What is a majority consensus? Mercedes Benz or Porsche or any other names? Lamborghini. Yes. How did I miss out on that? I mean, I'm not practicing Krishna consciousness sincerely in the 2023rd, the 21st century, in 2023, right? Lamborghini has to be there. How can I give examples without Lamborghini and say that how? Just as people are attached to Lamborghini, we should be attached to Krishna or something like that. I should make a statement like that, isn't it? Up to date. So thank you very much for that. Lamborghini. So what is the consensus? Lamborghini? Mercedes-Benz? Forget it. You all are really very participative. If I had said how many of us would want to pray to Nrsingadev like Hari Bol. Lamborghini, everyone is thinking, oh, this is not Krishna consciousness. Srimad Ramanujacharya was told that, today you are going to take darshan of Ranganath Swami. So this Archaka, he's envious of you. So he has mixed visha or poison in the Charnamrit. And Ramanujacharya is like, well, it is Charnamrit. That is the story. And he accepted it. And he was safe. Can we do that? We better not do that. You are defying physics here. That has to be pulled behind or ahead, or it will fall. You sure it will not fall? Okay. Every program you have to do this. After some time it will become a custom. It will be a holy ritual. And this is how rituals are born. And yes. So a Lamborghini. And he was really feeling good. Suddenly there is crack, bang and a crack. And his windscreen is shattered. He puts on the brakes and is so angry. Comes out of the car looking for the person who had thrown a stone. He sees a stone was thrown. There's a little child, 8-year-old boy. He's trembling. The man, he actually is walking towards the man. The man is also, he's not sure. Now, it is a child, so trying to mellow down his emotions, his anger. It's a new Lamborghini, come on. Correct? Just imagine if you're taking a tray of prasad, bhoga, and somebody pushes us. what would happen? You'd feel as if all of your 20 years of practice of 16 rounds every day has been gone the drain. That is how angry you'll be. You're not going to say, Krishna Arpanamastu, my dear Lord Krishna, this is, what can I do? But please, wherever you are, accept this offering. You're not going to feel like that. You're like, the bhoga is wasted. Do you know what an offense it is? And if you are just 2 years into practice, then you'll come to somebody who's 20 years in practice and say, Prabhuji, did I make any aparadh? Mataji, you know this happened. 20 years down the line, you would be telling others how it is their offense. It's interesting, the practice of Krishna consciousness in human form of life. Anyways, sorry for my sarcasm. So he couldn't speak. He was seething with anger. The boy comes up to him and he's speaking fast. He's fearful. He knows what he has done. He says, my dear sir, please forgive me. I am here with my grandfather. My grandfather suddenly fell down. I think he's sick. There's nothing I can do to help him. I tried to wave and stop so many cars passing by. No one stopped. And out of my concern, this idea came to my head. I know I've seen people stop when someone does something to their car. So I picked up a stone and threw it at the next car that was coming along. It hit your windscreen. Please, can you help my grandfather? I think he seriously needs help. The man, he's the owner of a Lamborghini. He's a sane person. He has some civility in him. He immediately becomes concerned about the old man. This is nice culture, good culture. At least as a human, we understand what priorities are. So he asks the child, where is your grandfather? So they have to walk about 100 yards. There the old man is lying down. He picks up the old man, gets him to his car, takes him to the hospital, and it is a good story, right? So the man has to survive because Good Samaritan. So to make the story a little more interesting, nick of time. In the nick of time, the doctor said if it had been an hour or so, then we are not sure we could have saved the old man. That makes the story more interesting, It brings out feelings of compassion. Isn't it? Maybe I should tell the story like that, so that people have tears in their eyes as listeners. Because sometimes these things seem a little more attractive than philosophy. Whereas these things should be as attractive as philosophy. I'm not saying these things have to be relegated to the trash bin. Philosophy also is important. So he was saved. Now the boy, he doesn't know. He's like, okay, my grandfather is saved. We don't expect in the story that would be too much maturity on the part of the boy that, thank you sir, and please forgive me. I'll talk to my dad. He'll pay for whatever damage I've caused. I can have the story go like that also. And maybe you'll buy it. And most of you will think, oh, maybe we should train our children like that. But the story doesn't go like that. At least my version right now, it doesn't go like that. The man simply says goodbye. He walks away. Takes his Lamborghini. And what is very interesting is, since the damage on the windscreen is not much, it is just in one corner, it is not affecting his view of the road. He decides not to change his windscreen. It is within limits. The police are also not going to give him a ticket. And do you know why? Because he wants to redefine his existence continuously. He wants to remember, he wants that cracked windscreen to be a reminder that one can always be an instrument of service to others. He doesn't change the windscreen. So Prahlad Maharaj, he realizes that the material world is a cracked windscreen. But then he feels in this verse that only if the living entities are reminded about the shelter of Krishna, and they can be saved. Therefore he makes a prayer that, my dear Lord, let me stay here. And please empower me that I can constantly remember you and thus help other living entities remember you. That is his prayer. And he knows it's going to be difficult. Therefore he says, Maunam charanti vijane, so vimukti kama. He knows it is going to be difficult. He knows that it is so difficult to stay focused in one's own personal life. What to speak about encouraging others to do that? But he says, no, I want to have that energy to go on. Till the time it's possible. Hopefully forever. So he's not romanticizing the idea. At the same time, his heart is convinced that this is possible. So Krishna consciousness or spiritual principles are very, very simple to understand. Very simple. For example, let us take the 10 offenses that have been given with reference to be avoided while chanting the holy names of the Lord. Yes? They are simple principles. Now, if you want to kind of give a big exposition on how it is very difficult, we can do that. But the principles are very, very simple. Don't try to unnecessarily bring out your incorrect interpretations of the scriptures. How difficult is that? No arthavad. No arthavad means unnecessary interpretations of the scriptures. Is it really difficult? When you take the ramp to the freeway and there you see the sign 70 by 50. Do you need any interpretation for that? What can be the wrong interpretation? Is it 70? 70, does it mean 69.99999 tending to infinity? It's so clear. So similarly, arthavad. We don't need to misinterpret the scriptures. However, we'll try to focus on so many negative things now. There are the so-called sahajiyas. And somebody will ask now, what are sahajiyas? So now we have introduced a new concept to them. Now somebody will say, there are the apasampradayas. And they're like, what are the apasampradayas? So we'll introduce a new concept. And then for the next 1 year, the discussion will be on these topics. And because we do not have sufficient material, we'll go to the internet and find out sufficient material. Whereas, what is one of the offenses to be avoided is, don't unnecessarily misinterpret the scriptures. So, what the warning that has been given is that our tendency is to misinterpret. Because if you ask someone, so what's the speed limit? They'll say 70. The upper limit is 70. They'll say, Acha, it's the same, huh? There's no discussion. But somebody says 60 and they're like, oh, 60. In our state it is 70, you know. See, now the discussion begins. So simplicity is an essential ornament of a spiritual practitioner. And Krishna specifically warns us that because we have been trained to handle complexity in our lives, it will be easy to preach simplicity to others and difficult to practice. It's not that one should not try to have different perspectives. We are not suggesting that. Can we be simple while understanding different perspectives? For example, if you want to change the oil in your car, you can do all research and see which is the best for your car. Are you going to tell all of your neighbors about it? Hey, this is what I found out about your car. Would you like to have this information? They're like, no, we have a different car. Then you should take our car. My car is this. What about your car? Therefore, there are so many spiritual practitioners that take up Mauna Vrata. It's not that they are just interested in their own salvation. They realize the futility of them trying to approach others. It's not that others are difficult to convert. They realize their own challenges, their own limitations. And hence someone like Prahlad is really, really worshipable. And there are others, they are Mahajanas. So redefining existence is not a very complex process according to what I was, thinking about the thread of this presentation. I was thinking about how to regain simplicity. Sorolota. How to get this complex functional mind to be simple. And then I realize the process is simple. Just chant Hare Krishna sincerely. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Of all the activities, this is the activity that we try to just finish as soon as possible. Everything else, we try to put effort into it. Typically, generally, it's not that always we are doing that. But let's suppose out of 365 days, 364 days we are very, very focused and one day we are not. Then we'll have to work. Make up. Where is our... yesterday somebody informed me about how Amazon functions. The hierarchy in Amazon. L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, L6, L7, L8, L10. There's no idea why there's no L9, but there's no L9. If you want to do research, then we have a few more births, Amazon is going to be there at least for another 200, 300 years. So we can take 2 to 3 births to research on it. L3, L4, L5. After that, L6, L7, L8 is kind of unheard of. And L10 is like moksha. Only a few living entities get L10. Competition. And here, the competition is material, but in spiritual life there is competition. Now, what is the competition? The competition is whether the senses and the mind and the ego is going to win or we are going to win. You deal with the senses, they lose, then the mind is somehow or the other. You have to pay attention to all of them. Manashasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. And you fast for one day on Ekadashi and the ego tries to eat you up. Or you are hungry for the satisfaction of the ego. Just to inspire everyone, I want to let the whole community know that yesterday, by Krishna's grace, I could chant X number of rounds and to Nirjala Ekadashi. Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Krishna's grace on you, Prabhuji, Mataji. Inspiring. It has to be there. Without inspiration, we don't work, right? We always need inspiration, isn't it? The only person that somehow misses out on giving us inspiration is a Paramatma. Our own Paramatma within the heart. Others' Paramatma is working for showering grace upon us. So remembrance. What is it within our life that we can remember that reminds us to always be aware of the potential of rendering service without any distraction. Distraction of the act of service and distraction of the results of service. What can help us always be aware of it? That is the nature of the soul. To always be aware of that potential to render unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service to Krishna. Ahaituki apratihata. Apratihata is very important. Ahaituki, most of us kind of are convinced that we are doing it. No, we don't do it for ourselves. We are doing it for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. So now, apratihata. Ahaituki also needs fine-tuning, but let us accept it that, we have overcome that challenge. So, apratihata. Uninterrupted. So what can help us be reminded of it? We should use that. Maybe a bead bag can help us. Maybe the picture of the Lord can help us remind. Something very, very influential, something that has made a big impact on our lives forever is what will help us that remembrance. We cannot have remembrance on borrowed concepts. If somebody tells us, this has helped me, we are like, okay, should we also do it? So we can borrow that concept, but let us make that very impactful in our lives. When it has a big impact in our own lives, then the conviction is there. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is the incidence of Haridas Thakur chanting Hare Krishna in a place known as Benapur. He was in a cave in the jungles, a little remote area, overgrown. Suddenly, some passers-by noticed him, word spread, and he became quite famous. So there was a local satsang leader. His name was Ramchandra Khan. In our terminologies, he was the Bhakti Vriksha leader for that place. Our terminologies. Just to understand what is his status. Alright? Or he was a counselor for that place. Somehow he got very concerned that there cannot be two lions in the same territory. Every lion should have their separate territory. So he became very concerned. He tried to see if it is possible that he can retain his territory, that person can go somewhere else. It did not happen. So then he wanted to have Haridas Thakur blasphemed. So along with the satsang, he was also conspiring. And this so much overcame his consciousness. It redefined his existence in a different way. He arranged for a young lady to meet up with Haridas Thakur and compromise his morality. Haridas Thakur was a young gentleman at that point of time. So from his experience of the world, he felt that this could work. So he asked for applications, few people applied. There was one that really, the resume was good. So he gave her a good package. Salary with perks and benefits. And some stock. Signed up. He said that, I can have CCTVs installed there. She's like, no, don't do that. All right. Maybe I can have a cameraman hiding in the bushes. Or you can have a collar camera or something like that. Body cam. She says, no. I don't want any footage right now till I'm convinced that my plan has worked. And it makes sense because her resume was so good. She did not want anything in the outside world that would compromise her reputation, right? So it makes sense from her point of view. So he asked her that how much time would it take? She said, it should happen within a day, but you just give me 3 days. Let me go alone. So she goes to the cave. Thakur Haridas sitting there chanting. She sees a tulsi plant which Thakur Haridas would worship. So obviously he was taking care of the tulsi plant at the entrance of the cave. So she offers her obeisances to the tulsi plant. And then she proposes to Haridas Thakur that, sir, you are a saintly personality. Saintly personality are always compassionate to people in distress. So I am a young girl and I am not finding suitable match for me. I think you are a suitable match. Therefore, my mind is completely convinced that it's either you or no one else. Thakur Haridas said, all right. I will definitely look into your proposal, but I just beg you that give me some time. I have taken up this vow of chanting so many names. So just today, for today, it is possible that I could finish it today. There's a possibility. I'll try my best. If you want, you can just wait here, sit right here. And while I'm chanting, I request you to be very quiet and peaceful. And you do your business and let me do my business. I'll chant and then I'll look into your proposal. So throughout the day, Haridas Thakur chanted right into the night. At night, she understood that now she has to leave. There was no facility for her. She was not comfortable staying there at night because it was a cave. There would be wild animals and snakes there, and she wasn't comfortable with that idea. So she decided to leave at dusk. So Haridas Thakur, she bowed to Haridas Thakur and she requested leave. Haridas Thakur said, I'm so sorry. I was hoping that I could finish my, complete my vow today. I'm sure that tomorrow it could happen. However, if you want, you can come. Otherwise, I leave it to you. But tomorrow it could happen. I could look into a proposal. So she said, yes, I will do that. She goes back home. Ramchandra Khan is waiting right there. She said, what happened? She said, it's almost done. He likes me. He's asked me to come tomorrow. He just has his vow to complete. So I did not want to really pressurize him. Otherwise, he may go against my proposal. So I think things are in the pipeline. Tomorrow we can most probably, the job will be done. Deployment will be successful tomorrow. I promise him. So he says, all right, but why don't I send someone with you, camera capture? She said, wait. First, let me get him comfortable with me. And once he's comfortable with me, then the next act you can film. She says, yeah, that is a good idea. So she goes the second day, Thakur Haridas is sitting there, she is chanting. She offers obeisances to Tulsi plant, offers obeisances to him. She sees that he's chanting, so she is like, okay, he's already started, so most probably he'll finish. She also sat down there. The first day she was distracted. The second day she had already seen the whole place like 20 times. So there was nothing else for her to do. Her senses were completely dulled out by now. Eyes were not seeing anything new. The nose was not smelling anything new. Her mind could not be distracted by any object anymore. So the second day, just because her senses were so tired out, they could not analyze anything in the external environment. The senses passively accepted what was being offered. And what was being offered was the chanting of the holy names from Haridas Thakur's mouth. And slowly, it started becoming attractive to her. Really. Haridas Thakur he had been practicing for quite a few years, and he had been, if we believe what the scriptures say, that he had been doing like 300K number of names every day, like 3 lakh names every day. So when you do that, sometimes how many of you have practiced chanting like extra rounds, like serious number of extra rounds every day? How many of you have done that? Please raise your hands. No? Oh, a few of you. When I say extra rounds, like 20 rounds, 25 rounds. Raise of hands. Oh, occasionally. I'm just saying occasionally. Once a year. Maybe 5 years ago you did it. Maybe 10 years ago you did it once. I'm just asking, how many of you have done that? Okay, very good. See if this resonates with you, those of you who have done that. And those of you who have been doing 2 rounds, when you have gone to 8 rounds suddenly, maybe this will also resonate with you. When you suddenly increase a large volume of work, and if it is repetitive work, let's say somebody decided to do 25 rounds. 25 rounds is a good figure on that particular day, 25 rounds, right? And if you decide, and if somehow or the other you've done it in a single sitting, like non-stop, if you have done it, somehow or the other, okay? How easy it has been to go through the rounds without actually knowing that you're chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna. You go into the backyard, front yard, in the temple courtyard, upstairs, downstairs, look at the deities, look back at Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna. By the time you are 60, you are so dulled out, your senses are so dulled out by the rhythmic chanting. that after some time, you don't even feel the pain of chanting. Has that happened? For a few rounds, Hare Krishna. And you're like, oh my God, these are the best rounds I chanted. Basically, it was you were the least focused in those rounds. It was just a rhythmic repetition that dulled the mind. The rhythmic repetition. Hence, our acharyas sometimes tell us that chant a fixed number of rounds. Begin with that. And then improve the quality. Because when you begin with that, and if you do it in one go, like let's say 16, and you do it in one go, after the 5th, 6th round, the mind becomes dull to external perception. It's just this reverberation that takes place. And now when you add quality to it, it's easier. However, we develop other practices in the meanwhile, like 2 in the morning, 10 in the evening, or we change the time when we are chanting. We have so many responsibilities that we try to adjust, and those responsibilities are at the back of the mind. So it's a new movie every day, every alternate week. So every time now the mind has to adjust to the new scenario, therefore it's active. Hence, if you take a break, 1 month, go to Vrindavan. The only thing you do in Vrindavan is wake up, go and chant, take prasad, go and chant, take prasad, go and chant, take prasad, chant, sleep. You're not going to this temple, that temple. Within 15 days, you will find that your mind is receptive to chanting. Now you have to work on the quality. That is how a mantra works. This is how mantras work. On the other hand, if there's a different movie going on every single day at the back of your mind, even after 30 years, you're like, oh my God, I have to chant again today. I have to do it. I still don't have attraction. The mind is very active. Alright? So, after you spend 1 or 2 Kartik going to Vrindavan and going to all the holy darshans and everything, the 3rd, 4th Kartik or the 10th, 11th Kartik that you spend in Vrindavan, sit, chant, prasad, sit, chant, prasad, sit, chant, prasad, sit, chant, prasad, sit, chant, sleep, wake up, sit, chant, prasad, sit, chant, prasad, and see how it works. I'm just giving you a formula. Because 10 Kartiks we've collected enough blessings now. If you're not convinced by the 10th Kartik that we have spent there, then nothing can convince us anymore. It's not that the 11th Kartik is going to give you some special blessings. So simple. What is simplicity? Simplicity is, the process is chanting Hare Krishna. Yes. So now because she was in that situation and it was Haridas Thakur chanting, and Thakur Haridas chanting is like mesmerizing. It's mesmerizing. Many devotees, when they begin sometimes to chant with Prabhupada's, recording going on in the background, in the beginning it's mesmerizing. After some time we decide to have new movies going on, when Prabhupada's chanting there. Sometimes we make up, but it is mesmerizing when we sit with Prabhupada's recording. It is not that we have to always go on for the next 40 years. You may want to do that. Even if you don't do that, if you have developed your own technique of keeping the mind mesmerized by the rhythmic repetition of the holy names, now we can bring in quality. And what is quality? The prayer that we do before helps us maintain quality, helps us maintain a very conscious approach to the chanting of the holy names. The prayerful mood before the chanting. So Haridas Thakur's chanting. And she had nothing else to do but receive that. It had such a powerful effect on her that by the second day, she was like wondering, what is the goal of life? What am I doing with life? But it's getting late, so she has to leave. And there is Ramchandra Khan. This is where she was in the stage of, she has to take proper Sangati in Anartha Nivritti stage. Bhajan Kriya was passive for her. Her association in the evening. It affected her to a certain extent. What happened? Said Ramchandra Khan. Oh, you. And then she realized, all right, package, perks, benefits, stocks. That is, in the entire day, that was the only time she remembered that. In the morning, as she was leaving to the cave, and the evening when she came back. The presence of Ramchandra Khan brought back that memory. And she said, tomorrow, last chance, if tomorrow it doesn't work out, you bring in the cameras and everything and do it your way. So he said, all right, one more day. Third day she goes, and when in the morning she leaves, the third day morning, she is carrying the sound of Haridas Thakur's chanting in her head rather than perks, benefits, those things. So she goes to the cave. Now she's eager to be there for other reasons. So she sits down. And as Thakur Haridas is chanting, she is trying to follow him. Just her own inclination. And by the end of the day, she falls at Haridas Thakur's feet and she says, my dear sir, I am sorry. I had come with some ulterior motives. And Thakur Haridas said, Krishna already sent me a message on WhatsApp. I knew I had the warning. And Krishna asked me, so what do you want to do? I said, I want to leave. Now I'm giving this dramatic presentation, all right? This is not there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because most of you know the story. So you are going to, okay, now we know what's coming next. So I'm trying to twist it a little bit. So just a presentation, not the principle. All right? So what do you want to do, said Krishna. He says, my dear Lord, I think I should leave. Okay. Do you know that this young girl, she does not know anything else except her job. But there is a possibility that she may be open to some good association. Thakur Haridas, oh, really? Then I'll stay. I'll stay and let her have the association of the holy names. He did not say let her have the association. Haridas, the association of the holy names. And his conviction was, if by the association of the holy names, I am saved, a Mlecha born person, I am saved, then anyone can be saved. So much conviction here. So he said, and that is what Thakur Haridas said, that I already was aware of the intentions of Sayyidina Yaitama Esthana Chadiya Tina Dina Rahi Lana Toma Nistar Lagiya. 3 days I just stayed here so that you can have the option of liberating yourself. Toma Nistara Lagiya. To give you that option that you can choose a different path in life. So she immediately requested him, what is my duty? How can I become free from material entanglement? Thakur Haridas, he said, first of all, go home and distribute all of your riches. Empty your bank balance. Donate it to people who properly use it. Who will use it in charity, who will use it in service. So donate it to them. Ek ghare ashi tumi karah vishra. And come here and take shelter of this place. Tumi karah vishram. The word used is vishram. Vishram means take shelter of this holy place. So Prabhupada, in his translation, he says, then come back to this room and stay here forever in Krishna consciousness. Okay? So she followed those instructions. She distributed all of her wealth. Then she comes back. She just keeps one piece of cloth to cover her body, shaves off her head, starts worshipping Tulsi every day, 3 times a day, and sits in that cave and chants 300,000 names of the Lord every single day. Now just imagine this situation. Compare and contrast. How many rounds do we have to chant? So Prabhupada said, my Guru Maharaj said that one should chant 64 rounds every day. Oh my God, that will take the whole day. Prabhupada said, precisely. So they were a little uncomfortable with that. So Prabhupada said 32 rounds. They're like, Prabhupada, if you're already giving us concession, a little more. He said 16 rounds minimum every single day. At least 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra every single day, right? This lady, 3 days. And when on the 3rd day, on the 4th day, Thakur Haridas leaves, 4th morning, it would be very helpful if she had asked for concessions too, no? Like, can I start off with like 25,000 names every day? Then maybe on Ekadashi I can do 100k rounds. Sangat and or association and determination. If both are very potent, very, very potent, like virulently potent, then the results are something like this. Chamatkarik, miraculous, unheard of. She started chanting 300k rounds, 300k number of names of the Lord every day. So basically that translates into, do you have any idea how much it translates into? It's about 159 to 160 rounds of the Mahamantra on beats, with 108 beats in each round. So about 160 rounds. Now sometimes we say, and Prabhupada also says 192 rounds every day. So that is taken into consideration that 16 rounds is roughly about 25,000 names. 16 rounds is a little more than 25,000 names. It's about 26,000 names. Can you imagine? Every single day, about 159, 160 rounds. Or let us, for simplicity's sake, let us consider just 192 rounds. Within a month time, great Vaishnavas are coming to seek her association and her darshan. And she would still stay in that cave, the very cave where she had come to distract Haridas Thakur. One was that Haridas Thakur had asked her to stay there and do her bhajan. And secondly, it was her determination. And from the perspective of our topic today, this is what she remembered. This was what she considered to be her motivation for being fixed in her consciousness every single day. So typically, we always end the story with, and in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also, this has been mentioned, that by the mercy of Srila Haridas Thakur, she was able to continue with the practices and she became well known. From the perspective of our presentation, redefining existence, The place where she had come to distract and be committed to her life of promiscuity was the very place where she received salvation too. And it is so helpful if we find a moment in our life where we knew that we were going down the dark alley of nations and the turnaround happened. And if we remember that, if we have a moment like that in our lives, and we always remember that, then in black and white we know what will happen if we are distracted and what could happen if we are focused. If we remember that fork, on one side is distraction, and that distraction we avoided and took the other turn towards being fixed up in Krishna consciousness. So that event could be our own personal inspiration to always be focused in Krishna consciousness. And if we have an event like that, the mind will be peaceful. The intelligence would be fixed. Because now the search is over. The search to be inspired in Krishna consciousness constantly is over. So with this stable mind, we can constantly, and with this focused intelligence, we can continuously, apratihata, uninterruptedly, we can practice the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.